You're listening to Tehachapi with Key Budge, Corey Costello, and Greg Garrett.
Tehachapi time again. Key Budge, Corey Costello. Greg's tied up in a meeting. So, Corey, how are you?
I'm doing well, very well.
Hey, today we want to talk about something that goes on throughout the county. Mm-hmm. And we've brought in a gentleman that we used to work with in another aspect of our government life. And now we get to talk to him about today's topic, which is the Kern Community Foundation and Give Big Kern Day, which is coming up.
I mean, somebody in government got out.
Someone got out.
He got out.
He got out. Mr. Aaron Falk, the president and CEO of the Kern Community Foundation. Welcome to Tehachapi.
Good morning, gentlemen. Thank you for having me.
It's nice to have you back because we'd see you at every chamber luncheon, coffee with the mayor. If there was some
EC
kind
meetings,
of anything that was tied into Tehachapi, you were there and you were representing Congressman Kevin McCarthy.
Yes, sir. The Tehachapi region was a priority for Kevin and remains one of my favorite places in Kern County.
Well, and you were always there and available, and it was nice because we were able to talk to you one-on-one, and you were approachable, and it's kind of like here in government, we don't always talk to our neighboring government agencies, let alone the difference between city and state or city and federal. Mm-hmm. So representing that federal entity that obviously Kevin covers this area, but we had one-on-one representation because you were there, and we know the messaging got back to Kevin because we'd see that cycle through. The ABA designation, things like that. And we talk about the railroad, and we'd bounce things off of you, and so you were definitely involved in things that go on here in Tehachapi over the past, I don't know, how many years were you working in the office?
I was with Kevin for 4 years.
So I mean that's a lot of time that you got invested here in the dirt in Tehachapi.
Yeah. So what about the change and the opportunity? What made you make this jump to the Kern Community Foundation? You did a lot of time in government service. So what was the opportunity like for you to jump over to Kern Community Foundation? What prompted you to do that?
Well, the opportunity. My plan had never been to stay with the government forever. Mm-hmm. I moved to D.C. at the beginning of 2011 and weaseled my way into a job in Congress. And I worked there mostly on national security issues through 2017. My wife, Lauren, and I drew a line in the sand towards the end of 2017 and said, okay, we want to buy a house. We want to start a family. And it was her bright idea to come back to Bakersfield. She's not from here. Mm-hmm. And so we moved here towards the end of 2017. Kevin's office found out I was moving here and reached out and said, hey, we would love to have you on our team in Bakersfield. So completely messed up my plans to get out of government, but gave me the opportunity to get involved locally. I use that as well to leverage some time at Cal State Bakersfield, where I'm finishing up my MBA. The goal there, again, was to make my government skills a little more marketable. And then when this came along and I had the opportunity to continue to do good work for the county that I call home, I jumped at it.
Awesome. So what exactly is sort of the mission statement, the purpose of the Kern Community Foundation? Because we have tons of nonprofits in this county. And so what is the role that the Kern Community Foundation plays?
Great question. So the Community Foundation model, there are about 1,000 community foundations across North America, mostly in the United States. They are registered nationally, and each one has its own defined geography. Okay. And what makes a community foundation unique is that they are public facing as opposed to a private foundation like the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. Mm-hmm. And because of that, we occupy a special spot in the tax code. Okay. But the deal is that we have to take the money that people want to give and use it within our defined region. So almost an overwhelming amount of the money that comes through us comes from local donors and is granted out locally, either in the form of scholarships or to local nonprofits.
So how's that determined? Like once the money comes in, is there? You said grants and you said scholarships, and how does that? How does that all work when the decision's made to give to X foundation or X nonprofit?
So we'll work. Each one has its own rules and agreements, but generally it's what the donor, the people giving the money, want to do with it is what we will get done. Now, let's say that you have $100,000 at the end of the year that you wanted to use towards charitable good. You may not necessarily have the resources to go vet the 150 nonprofits in your city to find out, okay, well, I want to make sure that kids have an opportunity to go get a STEM degree. And so I want to support programs that promote that, and I want to hand out scholarships to kids who qualify. Rather than you having to hire your own lawyer and accountant and everything to go about that, you can just come to the foundation and we'll do it for you.
Okay.
So in the past, what are some of our local nonprofits that may have, worked within your organization that have benefited from this, the giving that goes on here in Kern County that maybe the folks in Tehachapi would recognize?
Sure. So Marley's Mutts has been one. Field, I've got the acronym here. The
Farm Workers Institute of Education, Leadership and Development.
100%.
I
Nailed
think
it.
I got it. They are literally located outside my office window. I see their trucks every day, so I should have that.
Friends at the Tehachapi Depot.
Okay.
Red Rock Canyon Interpretive Association. There are a handful who are Tehachapi specific, and then we have ones who serve the whole county, including Tehachapi. So maybe Saracoso Community College Foundation.
Nice.
And then, like with Saracoso Community College Foundation, we've had them on, and they give scholarships. They help students. So there's some very direct individual benefit that comes from that when they, have money to work with. So this is an opportunity for nonprofits that are listening to become more involved with your organization to help benefit their organization.
100%. And I remember that Saracoso podcast. It was a particularly talented guest that day.
She literally took money out of my pocket, like on the show. I donated at that moment.
That's true. That was Lauren Falk, your wife, and Lauren was in studio that day, and Corey was pulling out his phone.
I literally did,
and you were doing it as we were talking.
I donated
to
the Saracoso Foundation that day.
Yeah, and Lydia Cheney from South Street Digital was on the board of directors for the foundation, and Lydia had joined us. And that was another one of those good shows where we talk about local Tehachapi students benefiting from a nonprofit that's just looking out for their interest to make life a little bit easier for them. So you've got something coming up that comes up annually, and we definitely want to hit on that because all of these different nonprofits that work, with you, that partner with the Kern Community Foundation, this is the day where people can give and help a lot of different nonprofits.
Of course. And we want support year round, but we do circle around our annual Day of Giving, which for us is Give Big Kern. That'll be this year on May 3rd. And this is our gift back to the community. This is a service that we put on, and it's free to register for nonprofits. You have to check a couple of boxes. You have to have a GuideStar designation of silver or higher, which is transparency to make sure that you're doing what you say you're going to do. And then we've got 1 or 2 webinars on how to use the software program that we use to aggregate the donations. And then that's it. You're good to go.
That's pretty easy. That's and I know Corey, again, he's involved in some different things here in the community, and it already, prompted some ideas for you of potential, involvement and opportunity for those, some youth sports.
Yeah, education and youth development. And, I'm just looking at their website and seeing, Centennial High School Athletic Booster Club is one of them. And I thought, well, then the Tehachapi Warrior Booster Club should be one of them as well. So we'll be working on that to get involved for sure.
So as we look at maybe what occurred last year, before you were a part of the foundation, but if you look back historically, what has been our annual giving in Kern County? Kern County turns up every time we ask or there's something that's in need. So what's the response been like, countywide for your Give Big Kern Day?
Well, you're right that Kern County shows up. And I think one of the things that makes us unique is that Kern County shows up and we don't have any food. Some of the most successful ones that I've seen, there's a tri-tip lunch or a cinnamon bun breakfast. Unfortunately, we don't have food lined up, but so 2016 was the first Give Big Kern. Since then, we've raised over $2.5 million. In 2021, during the height of COVID, it was $832,000 spread out across 129 of our nonprofits that we're partnering.
That's a lot of money that comes in from the county, and then that's a lot of nonprofits that benefit from that. So your dollar can go and help really impact multiple, or can they be specific in where they want their money to go when they donate?
Yes, yeah, and we keep track is specific, and we keep track of which one is going where. And we will even organize some fun contests around those. For instance, this year, one that we've got that I wanted to highlight here is our rural nonprofits. And I realize Tehachapi is a municipality, but you're going to count as far as rural nonprofits go. And so whichever nonprofit from basically outside of Bakersfield brings in the most money will also get a prize.
Nice.
A cash prize.
Nice. I'm going to work on that one too. There's a lot of things along with the Give Big Kern. I mean, when it comes to giving and just philanthropy in general, you guys do a lot of planned giving stuff too as well, where you work with folks that, maybe want to do this on a regular basis. Maybe it's part of their estate. Maybe it's part of, I was even looking at your website, you have IRA charitable rollovers. So people who are getting to 70 and then all of a sudden their money is starting to be taxable income. You have ways to work with them on that as well.
Sure. People give for all sorts of reasons. And we have experts on staff who can help you with almost any type of gift. That can include, as you said, in your will, that can be IRA rollover. It can be crops. If maybe you're hypothetically a wine grower and you end up with some extra acreage at the end of the year, and maybe you either want to donate out of the kindness of your heart, or you've got a tax hit or something along those lines. Anything at all like that, we can help you with.
Interesting.
I had never even thought of that, but I mean, it makes total sense. Take advantage of, there's opportunity here, for if you're a business owner or the individual. And if someone's, and we even though we highlighted May 3rd as the Give Big Kern Day, and that's a 24-hour day that you guys focus one day, it's 365 days that you guys are open and available for people to donate, and then that go out and benefit the nonprofits around the county. If someone wanted to sponsor, or do you have programs available if they wanted to, say as a business, and say, well, Big Kern Day is great, but I'm in for maybe a year-round contribution?
Sure. So you can select from some of the programs we currently have going on. For example, the Women and Girls Fund exists to marshal resources towards opportunities for women and girls. You can start your own. That's the beauty of it, is if you and maybe a group of people or a group of businesses see a need and you want to set up an annual program where you put money into a fund and you want to meet a need, and that can be a geographic need, maybe just for Tehachapi or for Tehachapi and the Aerospace Valley. You can set that up and we'll help you accomplish the goals that you want to meet.
So, Aaron, how long have you been on the job now? With
Almost 90 days.
Okay, yeah, I was going to say, I thought it was right around Christmas time-ish or right before then. So what's been probably, since you've kind of made the transition, what's been your, I guess, favorite moment or favorite part, thus far about this line of work? It's
exciting, and it's hands-on impact. I really liked my time in the government, but working for Congress, your wins tended to be abstract. I had a couple of really successful moments in DC where I wrote the law that outlawed revenge porn in the military. Fantastic. Super duper proud of that. Have not met anybody who's been impacted by it.
Yeah.
On the flip side, last weekend we handed out thousands of dollars of grants to students. We're in the process of reviewing. We had over 800 applications for our annual scholarship program this year, and we're going through those. We're going to make an actual measurable difference in some youngsters' life.
Yeah.
We're going to sit down and we work with some of our local nonprofits on how to strengthen their operations, how to generate some more cash flow, how to get the most out of what they're doing. This is going to be a hands-on positive effect. Maybe we're helping somebody help foster youth. Maybe we're helping somebody clean up the Kern River. Maybe we're helping somebody alleviate some of the homelessness issues. And we can see that happening right here at home. I can see it out my front door, and I love that. Nice. Maybe it's the millennial in me.
What's you were talking about scholarships. What's sort of your average range of scholarship awards when you do award those?
I would say the average is between 1,000 to 5,000 per year. And then we hand out, hundreds.
Yeah. Is that a one-time deal for the student, or can they reapply as they get into college year 2, that kind of thing?
Usually they can reapply.
Oh, great. Nice. So it's another opportunity for folks to, because those costs, they add up in college.
They do.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you, we've got some great examples of, you mentioned booster clubs. We have some booster clubs for some of the older high schools, and they've been just putting, money from a golf tournament or from another fundraiser into this fund each year. And every year that fund grows, and you can grant out your scholarships off of the interest earnings from the fund. Yeah. So you don't touch the body of the fund. That continues to grow. So every year you've just got more and more money that you can spread out among more and more students.
Yeah. Awesome.
That's wow. What an opportunity to further, what's a great idea, but you can take the business aspect, apply it to this, and it becomes generational type money.
Yeah, because we even have, we've just on the local, like the Booster Club board, we offer the scholarships every year, and sometimes especially during the last couple of years with the COVID and the kind of kids not being on campus for a good chunk, we had gifts that went not awarded, and so that money just went back into the fund, and it's just basically sitting in a bank account. It's not growing. So anyway, more notes to jot down.
Yeah, what a great idea. And you've got social media presence. So if people want to learn more about the organization, follow what you guys are doing on a daily basis, where can they follow the Kern Foundation?
Step one would be go to our website, kernfoundation.org. We have givebigkern.org for Give Big Kern. And on there, you'll find the links to, our Facebook, our Instagram, our Twitter. I might be too old to understand if we have TikTok or Snapchat. We may not. I don't know.
I don't see it on your sheet. You have YouTube and LinkedIn. So, there's that.
I'm in the process of trying to hire a youngster who maybe speaks that language a little bit better.
There you go. Yeah.
Yeah. It's funny as we talk in the business world, the Chamber of Commerce here recently hired a media savvy person who was younger, everyone else is much younger than me, but to find someone that understands all the lingo, like you're saying. We're talking with the city of Ridgecrest. The city of Ridgecrest recently brought in someone to do media, and it's a younger person. Yeah. And she created a TikTok account for the city of Ridgecrest. And so we haven't done that here. Yeah. But we're kind of paying attention to, that audience that's there. And
I opened an account at Key's encouragement, just for the entertainment value. I've yet to post to it. There's videos that I'll am entertained by, but I just think to myself, how do I fit into this space? That's been my question the last several weeks. Like, how do I fit into this space? I don't know. I haven't figured it out yet.
Well, consumer. Right now, you're on the consumer side, guy. Not the content creator. But it's a different slice of the audience. As you talk about that, and potentially looking at growth as far as communication with potential donors or people that just follow along. These are different pieces of the pie. There are more people that. The younger audience, because if you reach the younger audience, they're going to stay with you as they get older, and that's obviously the goal. So what kind of feedback have you heard? You've only been in the position for 3 months. I know you were aware of the foundation long before the 3 months that you took over. The benefits, and you said it's tangible, you got to hand out scholarships, and you get to see the looks on the faces, and that means something to you versus, getting to help write some legislation that's in place that's important, but you get to see it at a direct local level. You're from Bakersfield. You're from Kern County. So I'm betting it goes much deeper for you.
It is. And, I do cringe sometimes when I read the generational breakdowns, and I've got a foot in Gen X and a foot in millennials. I just turned 40. But the one that I do agree with is they say that our slice really wants to find meaning and purpose in what they're doing. And being able to do this hands-on, it does give me meaning and purpose. And don't get me wrong, my office is great, my staff is phenomenal, but I get up out of bed every day just excited to go do this.
Yeah, especially when there's you're to have the ability to make an impact, but there's not you don't have some kind of inherent criticism that comes with it sometimes. This is just you should have 99.9% positive interactions with people.
Sure. Yeah. I don't want to open kimono on everything that happens with a congressional office, but nobody in the last 3 months has called me and yelled at me just because I picked up the phone. and I really appreciate that.
Yeah. Well, around in government work, if you're not getting those and you're not doing your job correctly, because you should have a few people that aren't always happy. But yeah, I could see how that would change your disposition waking up in the morning. It's going to be a good day today, guaranteed. Yeah. Now I'm going to call Aaron just to yell at him one day. He's not going to know.
He's just out of the blue. See, there you go. You could create a TikTok video.
Little voice changer, and I'm going to be on the phone, and I'll blame him for something.
I have your number 2. So.
That's right. Well, Aaron, let's circle back to Give Big Kern Day, May 3rd. So again, let's hit on that. It's a 24-hour day that's focused on giving to the foundation through Give Big Kern Day. But it's a year round, as we talked about. But let's again hit on this day.
Yeah, thank you for coming back to that. The donation portal will open up the evening before, and then we will start day of bright and blurry at the Liberty Bell downtown Bakersfield. They will gong it for us, and nice. And we'll do a couple of proclamations and get the day going. And then we'll have different events throughout the day, trying to keep everybody excited and drive a little bit of coverage. We've got awards we'll be handing out almost every hour, things to make it interesting, and we're always looking to grow that with more partners. And if somebody did want to get involved on the sponsorship side, those are still available for another couple of weeks. I believe we can send the flyer out with the episode page. Otherwise, you can go to our website, and all the information is there.
We'll definitely put a link to the website, and we'll reference back to the information that you've got.
And this started you said 2016?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I think I was involved in the first Give Big Kern Day because at my time at CSUB, we were pushing the Road Owner Scholarship Fund, which was the athletic. It helps fund you can't, a lot of folks don't know that you can't use state dollars to fund athletic scholarships. And so you have to be able to privately raise that money. And so I think we pushed heavily in 16 and even 17, I think, to make that day, and we did a pretty good job on getting some response. So yeah, I remember, I didn't realize that was the first one. Now that you say it, I said, oh yeah, that was the first one in 2016. So, I think the first one had a really good splash, and I think it's just built momentum from there.
Yeah, it's a great county. There's a lot of support here.
Yeah.
And people rally around things like Cal State and Cal State athletics. I know I grew up on the corner of Ming and Gosford. So I literally walked to watch all of the soccer games when Cal State was like D2 champs.
Yeah.
That's a special place in my heart right there.
Yeah. It was a fun event getting Give Big Kern rolling and being as a nonprofit involved. It helped people just realize, obviously, they're going to give to you throughout the year, and some people will be more dedicated to giving to you, whether it's a sponsorship, but there are folks that don't even think about it because it's not that time of year where they normally would give, and they think, oh yeah, well, I've got extra money this month or whatever it might be, and that's where it sort of generates. I think it just kind of keeps a lot of nonprofits fresh in people's minds that in May, even though they might not be thinking to be giving till later in the year. So,
well, Corey, let me ask you this. Let me throw you back to your Cal State days. Some of the students that would receive some of these scholarships, what does it mean to them? I mean, I went to college. I didn't get a scholarship, but I know does it create more opportunity for them? What is it? What I'm sure there's got to be a story that you can pull from some of these kids that you saw that received these scholarships.
Yeah, I mean, there's a million stories, and a lot of them, especially on the teams that I was particularly close to, which were basketball and baseball, were two of the programs I was very attached to. Basketball had what the NCAA called as a head counter sport, so you had the full ride scholarship for everybody on that squad except one or two walk-ons, and then baseball was a split. The NCAA put your max at 17 scholarships, but you have a 30-man roster, and you have to figure out how to split that money up. But you obviously had the impact of somebody who, parents were literally, they maybe were homeless back home. I mean, we had one basketball player, his mother would, listen to the games at a friend's house, and then she slept in her car, until she was getting back on her feet. And you had that immediate impact. But the cool part, what I tell people now, is when I get to see, when I look on social media and one of those kids is a doctor now, or one of those kids is in real estate or is in business and has become, had it not been for that opportunity, they would not have been there. I mean, some of them turned out to be coaches and that sort of thing, and even professional athletes, and that's cool. But it is those kids that turned out to be that scientist, and I mean, that kind of stuff. It's really cool to see them, like what they came into after that and what that allowed them to go from there.
The long impact.
Yeah, I would much rather.
Term.
Yeah, I'd much rather. I mean, I brag more about the kids that turned out to be doctors or businessmen, business owners, businesswomen, as opposed to that professional. There's a few professionals out there, but athlete, but more so important those kids that took that opportunity and then made the most of it and turned into a long-term plan, a long-term success in a career field.
See, there you go. You've got a little story that you can take back and use, Aaron. And I know that Lauren had talked about some of the students, and she brought on students when when she was on talking about the Kern Saracoso Foundation and the impact of students, and hearing the students talk about how important it was, and how excited they were and their plans and like you said, Corey, I mean, the outcomes, they became a doctor or they became a professional, they honed their skill sets. So these are just a few of the things that the money can help go to, the success stories.
No, there's definitely a long-term view here.
Yeah.
I've got my 1 year, my 5 year, and my 20-year plan for what the foundation's going to be doing. And the health of Kern County is fundamental to that. And the big piece of that is the people within Kern County. The county has, I believe, doubled in population in my lifetime.
Yeah.
And it's hard to keep up with that growth. But one of the things that we can do as a community is we can circle around the people who are here already and make sure that everybody who deserves an opportunity gets an opportunity. Genius, talent, work ethic, that is evenly and randomly distributed across the population. You can't point to one zip code or one community and say this is where all the smart, talented kids are going to be. It's evenly distributed, but the opportunity is not evenly distributed. And so the more we can do to help find those gems and push those kids into a successful future, A, we're going to have a better outcome locally, but B, those kids are going to stay here. And if we can improve the quality of life through the rest of what the foundation does in the county, not only are they going to stay here, the other smart people who move to Kern County for other reasons, let's say they are working in aerospace and they want to live in Tehachapi, if we can improve and maintain the quality of life here, they're not going to come for 2 or 3 years already working on their exit plan. They're going to stay. They're going to be a part of this community. They're going to invest in this community, and that's going to be good for everybody.
Yeah,
that ties right back into some recent conversations we had on this podcast with J.P. Lake, with Richard Chapman, and the investment and long-term goal. Part of it was educational aspects, vocational, some strong vocational support jobs, not just the engineering, but creating the environment that people, you come and stay, or you live here and you don't want to leave. But it's that, I guess it's changing the environment. Now we're hearing it from different points of view, that there's a common goal and people are working towards that.
And the quality of life piece goes into, there's probably, if you have a special interest, whether it's, animal control, community cleanup, go down the list. I guarantee you in this county, there's a nonprofit that addresses that. Obviously, a lot of those roles certainly should be played by government, whether it's the local, city, county, state. But again, there's not funding to do everything for everybody. But there's probably a nonprofit out there. I mean, we've talked about our, having our own Love Tehachapi group, right? That stemmed out of an idea we had, and they took it and ran and created a nonprofit that's going out there and doing a lot of the community cleanup that we're not having to use city resources for. We support them, and they go out and do it. So I think there's probably a foundation, and you can find it on the Kern Community Foundation's website. Just search. But with your special interests, whether it's spay, neuter, or something like that, there's probably, Marley's Mutts is what Aaron brought up earlier. There's probably a nonprofit that addresses that, and that is a quality of life issue.
And I think a beautiful part of that too is if you don't see one that lines up perfectly, or if you think maybe you can do it better, we will help you stand one up.
Nice.
Strengthening nonprofits is a big piece of what we do. Most of these started out on somebody's laptop or in somebody's garage and then grew over time. We've got the resources to help you do that if you're interested in it.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, I remember just when when COVID had started, the Tehachapi Humanitarian Foundation or group got started helping people. And like you said, it started in a garage and then it grew, and they're helping hundreds and hundreds of families, with what they do. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, it kind of popped into my head. May 3rd, it is a 24-hour event. It's Give Big Kern. You can donate to the Kern Community Foundation 365 days a year. But this is going to be a big focus. You're going to hear it talked about. You're going to hear news media talk about Give Big Kern Day, and it's May 3rd, 24-hour event, and it's givebigkern.org. And like you said, Aaron, you can give specifically to a group, or you can give in a general sense, and you guys were able to distribute where the needs are occurring.
Sure. I mean, ideally, I would say find a group you want to support and support them. We're on there as well. And then we will turn around and grant out whatever comes in as as need pops up.
And then, you, like you said, you even have a contest in particular for the rural nonprofit. So should one of the Tehachapi, Shafter, Wasco, Taft, Arvin, Kernville area nonprofits really make a push, they'll get a little award for bringing in the most money that day, correct?
At least one of them will win that award.
Nice.
And as I said earlier with our sponsorship packages, we can do more awards if somebody wants to step up and put a carrot out there. We're happy to accommodate that.
Yeah, the business levels are on the website as well, and there's started $1,000 up to $20,000.
And is all that information on the givebigkern.org site, or is it also on the Kern Community Foundation site?
It is for sure on the Give Big Kern site. I believe our main site just links out to that.
Okay, so what we want to do is just go to one site directly, givebigkern.org. You can get all the information.
In 2021, the Bakersfield Angels raised $147,000 on that day.
Pretty awesome, right?
Wow. That I'm not familiar with that organization. What do you know what they do off the top of your head?
Sure. Allison runs that. They run programs supporting foster youth.
Okay.
And helping foster youth transition to life coming out of those programs.
Wow, that is so cool. Almost $148,000 on one day in 2021, and still kind of in a weird sort of what was happening with COVID phase as well a year ago.
That's amazing.
Wow.
So, Aaron, anything that we didn't talk about that you want to share?
I'm just glad to be up here. The foundation is, I believe, now 22 years old. We've spent a lot of time, before my time, growing the operational strength. And my predecessor, Kristen Beal-Watson, who's now at Cal State, did just a phenomenal job strengthening what it is we can do. And so my first goal is to expand our geography and make sure that, it's not just Bakersfield centric. We're going to be talking to Tehachapi. We're going to be talking to Mojave and Ridgecrest. We're going to be talking to the Kern River Valley and Taft and Wasco and McFarland and Delano. We can help everybody. I know there's need everywhere. And so this is just the beginning of a long process of making sure that we've got a good footprint up here in the mountains.
Yeah. Nice.
I think it's definitely going to be well received. And it's nice to hear about the local nonprofits, that participate, that benefit, and the local youth, and I love hearing stories. I love hearing stories about kids. I mean, there's obviously other programs, but for me, it's those things that...
Well, Aaron brought up Friends of the Depot. The Friends of the Tehachapi Depot are on the list, and they're actually looking, they've started to promote a little bit the fact that they're starting to fundraise to relocate that caboose, which sits next to the Conan's deck right now. The city donated to help purchase the caboose so it didn't go away because somebody else is going to buy it and move it. And that's been in downtown for so long. It was kind of a downtown mainstay. And so now FOTD needs to figure out how to fund to move it a little bit. They had a couple plans where they want to put it, and then the refurb to make it actually part of their museum collection. You could go in, you could actually see this historic caboose inside being restored. So
as a train enthusiast, there's something that I can help.
Yeah.
and so no matter what your interest is, you're going to find something that works under your umbrella. So just head on over to the givebigkern.org website, and you'll find a list of all the different nonprofits that are out there and available that are participating in this day of giving.
Yes, and if you didn't have an opportunity to sign your nonprofit up, if you go on the website, it will say that the registration window has closed. But for your listeners, Key and Corey, I'm happy to make an exception. Just drop my name.
Hey,
Perfect.
There you go. So
I planned on it anyway, but I'm glad he said everybody can drop his name.
So ask for Aaron, mention Tehachapi,
Yeah.
and you can get your nonprofit in this opportunity for Give Big Kern Day on May 3rd.
Nice.
And it's givebigkern.org. That's where we want to send you. Corey, anything in closing?
No, I'm super excited to have Aaron at the helm of this. Like you mentioned earlier, like we knew Aaron's work, with Congressman McCarthy's office and obviously stand-up guys. So really excited to have him doing this and really seeing, again, a benefit to Kern County on a much more, tangible level that everybody gets to see and not just a few folks in Congress. So.
Yeah, and I think that's where I was starting when starting to intro you, is that we got to know you on a personal basis, through your work and, with a government agency to government agency, and now to, you leading this big nonprofit that helps other nonprofits. That's, knowing you at the personal level, that makes it even more significant to me. It's nice to have you in here.
I appreciate your friendship. I do also, before we go, I want to praise one of my staffers, Christina Camacho. She's been the engine behind Give Big Kern this year, and she had not worked on it before, and so she came in fresh and has been herding cats, and oh my gosh, is she doing an awesome job. So I wanted to take a moment to praise her. If you reach out, she's going to be the one that you work with. Her name's Christina.
Awesome.
So she's never had anyone call her and just yell at her?
Not working for me. At least she better not. So those calls come to me. Don't call her to yell at her. Call me.
Right.
Not that anyone will, but I do appreciate that fact of your past history that you can still recall, and you could see almost the PTSD of some of those calls flash across your face as you were describing it.
Yeah.
Aaron Falk, thank you so much for coming in. We really appreciate your time.
This is great. Thank you guys.
Again, Go Big Kern Day. That's givebigkern.org. Head on over there, check out and look at all the different nonprofits that benefit, or if you have one, it's not too late. Aaron's going to extend the deadline for you listening and want to participate. So just mention Aaron or Tehachapi to get in. And Corey, appreciate you sharing your experiences back from the Cal State days and some of those memories as well. Yeah,
and they even extend now into just doing the nonprofit work with the Warrior Booster Club. I mean, the fact that you could get kids uniforms to make them feel better about themselves, make the town look better when they're traveling on the road and they're not wearing jerseys that are 15 years old, that kind of stuff, it makes a difference. The whole Deion Sanders, look good, play good, that kind of stuff. And so that stuff's important for sure.
Well, Showtime, we appreciate it.
Prime time. He's prime time.
That's right. He's prime time. The Lakers were Showtime. And if folks, again, if you want to give, head on over to givebigkern.org. We appreciate your time here on Tehachapi. Send your questions, comments, thoughts to us at media@Tehachapi City Hall, and we'll catch you again on a future episode of Tehachapi.
Tehachapi is a conversation about Tehachapi designed for the people who live here or who would like to know more about this mountaintop community. If you have a question you would like answered, email media@TehachapiCityHall.com. We will try to answer it on a future episode of Tehachapi.